First of all, evolution comes from someone who was a member of the Round Table.
Okay, I've not heard this one before. Right then, let's start 2024 with a detour from the well-trodden path of Darwin's theory of evolution and take a walk down a road that's older than your granny's teeth, the Bible. That's right, forget about swinging from trees, we're going old school with some divine craftsmanship. It turns out Darwin might have been out-partied by a bigger player in town, God himself. And let me tell you, the first book of Moses, aka Genesis, doesn't waste any time. It's like the ultimate DIY universe in a weekend project. Please subscribe.
So I want to touch the topic of evolution, which is something that's taught at a very early age, and especially in Western societies and pretty much maybe all over the world at this point. Since like 6th to 7th to 8th grade, I was learning about evolution in my charter school.
Well, yeah. Now, according to the National Centre for Science Education, it's taught because it's the foundation of biology. Darwin's law of evolution by natural selection and the other core elements of evolutionary science provide a unifying explanatory framework for the entire field.
Is it wrong as a Christian to believe in evolution?
No, it's not wrong. It's tricky, but it's definitely not wrong. There are lots of scientists that believe in God. But the answer to that question does very much depend on who you ask it to.
Because before you answer, this is the way that I process it. I refused to believe in evolution when I was a kid. Refused, absolutely. Because I heard people talking about it, and so I automatically rejected it because of the way that my parents brought me up and what was said in the churches.
See? Remember I said just now it would depend who you asked? Now, the word to describe someone who refuses to believe in something like evolution due to their religious beliefs is a creationist. And this term specifically refers to individuals who reject scientific explanations for the origin of life and the universe, favouring the literal interpretation, as they see it, of religious texts like the creation story found in the Bible. Well, if you ask a creationist if someone can believe in God and accept the theory of evolution, they would be the ones saying no.
What if God actuated the process of evolution to give our human minds, because he knew one day we're going to try to figure out where we came from, how we came from. Yes. He gave us something for the non-believers to grasp onto, because what happens if you don't believe in God? You said it earlier, you believe in something else. So some people make it government, some people make it theory, some people make it mathematics or another person, or idols.
Yes.
Some people make it evolution.
Now, that's wrong in so many different ways. I'm not really sure where I should start. But if we look at what belief is, first of all, well, belief is an acceptance that something exists or is true, especially something without proof, like, I don't know, God maybe. All the other things you mentioned, like governments, maths, and obviously you threw evolution in there, are all real. We can see them. We can interact with them, or at the very least interact with and examine the evidence for them. So belief isn't even part of the equation. I think what you meant to say was accept them as facts due to the huge amounts of evidence that support them.
First of all, evolution comes from someone who was a member of the Round Table.
As in the Round Table of King Arthur, around which he and his knights congregated? Okay, I've not heard this one before.
What can you tell that to everybody?
Without going into too much details, those who know what the Round Table is and where it came from, they will see someone who was a non-believer in God, an atheist who was deliberately trying their hardest to brainwash people and take humanity away from the concept of this divine God who is the reason for the existence of this universe and life.
Or they might say, and this is assuming we're talking about the same Round Table, that while some medieval texts and stories depict King Arthur as a legendary British leader who fought against Saxon invaders, there's little concrete evidence to confirm his existence as a real person, which should be really familiar to you.
Secondly, let's say everything came into existence because something exploded over 13 billion years ago.
Yeah, I don't mind repeating myself for the millionth time. The Big Bang wasn't a typical explosion with a big bang and a boom. but it was more like a sudden, rapid expansion of space from a very hot, dense state. Imagine a tiny, super-packed dot containing all the matter and energy of the universe. Suddenly, this dot starts expanding incredibly fast, stretching out space and everything in it. Now, this isn't an explosion in space, it's more like space itself stretching and getting bigger, carrying galaxies along for the ride. So instead of imagining a fiery blast with shrapnel like in a movie, picture a balloon inflating where every point on the balloon surface moves away from each other as it expands. That's a bit closer to what the Big Bang Theory explains about the beginning of the universe.
I just wonder who was present 13 billion years ago? Was it that scientist or his uncle or his grandpa?
But that's such a stupid thing to say, and trust me, I know because I say it all the time. But when I say it, this is what I mean. Creationists seem to have this huge hang-up about there not being anybody there to witness the Big Bang happen, and yet they are more than happy to believe that God magically created the universe and everything in it because that's what it says in a dusty old book. Nobody was there for that either.
In the scientific field, if it's a theory, I'm not obligated to accept it and believe in it, therefore don't force it on me.
Now, a theory is essentially a way to explain something we observe, like a phenomenon backed by research and evidence. And while theories aren't flawless or all-encompassing, they are widely recognized as valid explanations. Take Isaac Newton's theory of gravity, for example. We're pretty sure gravity exists because we see a lot of evidence for it everywhere, apart from flat earthers, obviously. But the exact details of how or why gravity operates are still not completely understood. That doesn't make gravity not real.
It's a theory. So even the one who wrote it, he said, I think it's this. Well, you think, I don't have to accept it.
Right.
So a theory is a theory. Leave it to yourself. Don't teach it at university levels, and don't brainwash all these beautiful young men and women.
Yes, scientists, stop brainwashing beautiful young men and women. You best leave that to people like the bishop here. Now, in everyday use, the word theory often means an untested hunch or a guess without supporting evidence. But for scientists, a theory has almost the opposite meaning. A theory is a well-substantiated explanation of an aspect of the natural world that can incorporate laws, hypotheses, and facts.
Now, if we assume that all this perfect and complex universe came into this because something exploded, then let me put it to you this way, my dear friend, whoever you are. And I'll say, you're my friend, because I mean it. If I say to you as an intellectual individual that the Oxford Dictionary came into this perfection and complexity because something exploded in the printing press, would you accept that?
No, absolutely not. Because it's not even remotely the same thing. Now, for somebody who just referred to himself as intellectual, you are half saying some really stupid things.
You'll say that is absurd. It's impossible. The moment you think of the Oxford Dictionary, immediately you think of a brain behind it that put it together.
Yeah, but as I just said, on what planet is that even similar to how the universe came into existence? The Oxford English Dictionary is a man-made object. The universe, well, it isn't.
So you're telling me the Oxford Dictionary cannot exist without a brain, but the universe existed without a creator. That is impossible. Logically speaking, it is absolutely illogic. Doesn't make any sense.
So the Watchmaker argument then? Oh yeah, that's really intellectual. So you're assuming complexity necessitates design, which natural processes like evolution can easily explain, which then explains why you were using the Watchmaker argument. Seems a little desperate in my humble opinion.
So, let me tell you, even though I'm not a scientist, so I don't want to be one, I'm a little poor, a believer in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we'd figured that much out for ourselves. And didn't you yourself say earlier on in this video that you don't like it when evolutionists, as people like you like to call us, ram their theory down your throat? Well, why is it perfectly acceptable for you to try and ram Jesus Christ down my throat? No, that came out wrong. You know what I mean. What's good for the goose is good for the gander and all that jazz, or something like that.
But let me say one thing about the human DNA. Just one thing about the human being. The human DNA is made out of 3.1 billion bits of information. 3.1 billion bits of information. If I were to convert that into words and write those words on an A4 sized paper, 500 words per page, it would take me 600,000 pages to write one person's DNA. You bring the entire encyclopedias of the world together, they will get nowhere near the intelligence in your DNA, my dear friend. And you're telling me you want me to believe in a Big Bang?
You're doing it again. You're comparing apples to oranges. I am glad you brought up DNA though. Now DNA undergoes mutations, which are changes in its sequence that can lead to variations in an organism's traits and sometimes cause diseases. But it's also these variations that drive evolution by natural selection. Now, if, as you believe, God wrote our DNA, that raises my favourite question. What sort of God is he? Why write disease into our DNA? What the hell is that all about?
That is a deliberate and intelligent creation by this intelligent being whom we as Christians believe and claim to be God.
Oh, now I don't know if you realize that what you just said basically voids your entire argument. That's the difference between evolutionists, and I don't like using that term because it's really stupid, and Christians. Christians believe and claim that there's this thing up in the sky watching over us all that's called God and that he made everything. And evolutionists, people like me, we can look at evidence and study the things that have taught us how the universe came into existence. There's a big difference.
Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That is the cause of creation, not just an explosion on its own.
Then why has nobody ever been able to prove it? Anyway, we best leave it there for today. Now, as promised, I just put everyone from the Patreon and channel members list into a random name picker, which, if I've done it properly, will be showing on the screen as I say this. And the winner for this video is Toddzilla242. Now, as I previously explained, Toddzilla242's name will be saved, and I will continue to pick names at random from every video I upload this month. And then in the first video for February, I will put Todd and everyone else who gets picked, I'll put their names back into the same random name picker, and one of them will get chosen and win a free item of merch. Yay! I know, it's really exciting. Huge thank you as always to everybody who supports what I do here on YouTube, whether it's financially each month or by just watching my videos. Now, I will try not to bang on about it too much, but according to YouTube, I should be hitting 80,000 subscribers before the end of January. So make sure to share this or any of my other videos. Remember, sharing is caring. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Oh, you're still here then. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe even learned something new. If you did, then you'll probably enjoy this video as well. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're new. And I will see you all again very soon, or in a few minutes if you do decide to watch this recommended video. Love you, bye.